So yesterday, we discussed actors that make me want to watch movies, and there are actors that people have mentioned in the comment section who used to, whether it's Christopher Walken, Steve Buscemi, people like this, and it's because actors pick movies, and you're like, all right, I want to see that, and then you watch it, and you're like, hey, that movie kind of sucked, and then you watch another one of theirs, and you're like, that kind of sucked too, and then you stop altogether. You're just like, no. This is a list of actors who, if they're in movies, I right away I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch this. Now, exempt from this list are people who are really obvious, like Rob Schneider, Kevin James. If they're in a movie, it's gonna be terrible. Um, that's just the way it works. Paul Blart, yeah, that's no. Number 20. This one really surprises me because back in the day, 20 years ago, I would have been like, yeah, I want to see that because he's in it. Robert De Niro has been in some really, really bad movies. Really, really bad movies. And, an example is I've got a movie list I have coming up on movies that have been the most disappointing that I've watched. And there's De Niro movies in there. And I never would have thought I'd see the day that would have happened. Back in the 90s, De Niro could do no wrong. You had Goodfellas, you had Casino, you had Heat, and even Meet the Parents. Some very good movies in there and some good comedy in there too, and just De Niro is fun, and yet lately 19, and I can't remember the last time I saw her name in a movie, but just so that we're clear, if I see Lindsay Lohan's name attached to something, I know right away. Okay, no. The first example I can think of is the Machete sequel. Machete, the original Machete, great movie. Love Machete, great movie. Um, the second movie was pretty bad, and not bad in a good way. Like the first one was cheesy, and over the top, and then the second one is just and Lindsay's in it, and it's just Number 18. Keanu Reeves. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure ruined Keanu Reeves. Or he has no emotional range. I remember when I watched The Devil's Advocate, and there's a scene where he's threatening Al Pacino, who's the devil. And I laughed really hard. I was like, seriously, am I supposed to take this movie seriously while Keanu Reeves, who's always one step away from, whoa, awesome, is threatening the devil played by Al Pacino? Seriously. And then what sent me over the top with him was The Lake House. No. Bad movie. Bad movie. Bad Keanu. Bad. Number 17. I've never been a huge fan of Tom Cruise. Even before the whole world knew he was crazy, I wasn't a big fan of Tom Cruise. There's Top Gun, which I know a lot of people like. I prefer Risky Business. I think Risky Business is a fun movie, but a lot has to do with Rebecca De Mornay. Am I right? Um, Fantastic movie if you like her. But Tom Cruise for me has just always been this unlikable guy. The most recent movie I can think of where I really, really liked him was in Tropic Thunder, where I didn't realize it was him until about halfway through the movie, because I didn't read any spoilers. About halfway through, I'm like, that's Tom Cruise. There was a line he delivered, and I was like, oh my god, it's him under that makeup. And he delivered a decent performance in that because he was being somebody else. But in general, if I see a movie stars Tom Cruise, I'm probably not going to watch it. The Mission Impossible movies, I've never seen any of them. Jack Reacher, no, I don't care. And that's despite the fact that Kobe Smulders is in them. And I like Kobe Smulders because she's Canadian. Um, she's played Canadian characters. She had the Canadian character on How I Met Your Mother, and yet I not happening because Tom Cruise reasons. Number 16, and this one surprises me. But when I'm really honest with myself, if I see his name attached to a movie, I know it's either going to be schmaltzy or whatever, and his character is probably just going to be one note. And I think it started way back. I think it started all those years ago with like Edward Scissorhands. Fine movie. I don't have a problem with that movie, but somewhere along the way he decided he was just going to play quirky characters. And yet there's almost a lazy way he does it. Like, okay, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Okay, so you're Michael Jackson. Pirates of the Caribbean. Okay, so you're Keith Richards. Like, and the way he plays the Mad Hatter is just kind of goofy, and then he's goofy in Dark Shadows, and he it. I am to the point where I'm kind of over him.
Did you
and when
say
I see
in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory he was Michael Jackson?
he is so Michael Jackson in that movie.
What?
Okay, watch it again. Listen to the way he talks. Watch the way he walks. Look at the way he is in the sun with the sunglasses, and he doesn't like the sun. He's Michael Jackson.
No.
It's pretty obvious he is mimicking Michael Jackson in that movie. Just watch it, you'll see it.
I don't think so.
All right, we'll watch it again. I'll show you.
We will watch it.
He is Michael Jackson in that movie, and it's really obvious. Number 15. Now, he's not in movies anymore, but when he was in movies back in the day, I hated them all. Hated them all. I'm trying to remember. There was one movie of his that was a big success. Steven Seagal's big hit movie, and my friends made me watch it, and I mocked it so bad. I'm trying to remember which one it was, because they're all crap. They've all got the same crappy titles. But they were him and Michael Caine. I remember it was him and Michael Caine, and they're fighting in this evil lair. And there were big red flashing lights, and there was a siren sort of noise, and it was the warning. It said warning on the red, and I'm like, and I started laughing. My friends were like, "What are you laughing at?" And I'm like, "You don't need the sign to say warning. It just be a red light and the siren. You don't need it to say warning." Like, there were so many things in that movie that were stupid, and I think the first thing that's dumb is when you see Steven Seagal's name, you just steer clear. You just steer clear. And you just thank yourself that you didn't have to sit through it. Yes, if you've had a couple of drinks and you don't mind watching a movie that's bad, his movies can be very entertaining. But in general, I try not to put myself through that. I do my best not to put myself through it. On Deadly Ground. That's what it was, On Deadly Ground. Number 14. This one kind of goes without saying. I'd have it higher up, but I don't really need to. If a movie's got a Baldwin in it and it's not Alec, you've probably taken a wrong turn. Stephen Baldwin is the ultimate wrong turn. He was in a movie I watched. I think it was called Zebra Lounge. The only reason I watched it is because Christy Swanson was in it. Of course, it promised all these sex scenes that weren't there, and anything that happened, it was a body double, and I could tell. And it was just awful. And I remember coming out of it thinking, what did you expect, Shannon? No, it wasn't Zebra Lounge. It was something else. It'll come to me after I've done this video. Anyways, it was. Oh, anyways, yeah. I don't know what I expected because it had Stephen Baldwin in it, so I kind of ridiculed myself on that one. Number 13. This one kind of goes without saying too, because most people agree with me on this one. According to any poll you're going to see anywhere, Gwyneth Paltrow is one of the most unpopular actresses, one of the most disliked. And I don't know what it is about her, but she's very off-putting. And maybe somebody can let me know in the comment section below what it is about her performances that makes her off-putting. She is the weakest part of the Iron Man movies. Her as Pepper Potts is sometimes unbearable. And I don't know what it is, but her as Pepper Potts is somewhat unbearable. And it's as much as I struggle with Thor settling on Natalie Portman when he's got Jamie Alexander salivating over him and he's got Kat Dennings right there. I have an equally hard time with Tony Stark, this millionaire playboy, with Gwyneth Paltrow. There's just something that just doesn't work there, and I don't know. Number 12. Oh, back in the day. Back in the day when Megan Fox appeared in Transformers, and I watched that movie the first time, and I was like, man, I'm going to see everything that woman's in. Nope. I have the movie Jennifer's Body. I have the movie Jennifer's Body because it came for free with Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie with the fantastic Christy Swanson in it. Guess what? I've never watched Jennifer's Body. I don't have any desire. Anything with Megan Fox in it. I remember when they talked about they were rebooting Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I was like, good, good. This time they can do it right, and they can take all the stupid crap out of it. Megan Fox is in it. Oh, damn it. There goes that idea. And I knew it was going to be awful. April O'Neil was one of the few characters in the original movies that I didn't think should have been stabbed in the face with a pencil. And they replaced her with Megan Fox in this one. I'm like, oh, really? Oh, why Megan Fox? And it's so weird because, 20 years ago I would have been like, yeah, Megan Fox. Yeah, Megan Fox. Not anymore. Number 11. This actor has recently become one that when I see his name attached to something, I say, I'm going to go ahead and step out. Channing Tatum. It would have been the opposite not that long ago, but now because of 22 Jump Street and Jupiter Ascending, I'm out. I'm out. I had believed that he had started picking better movie roles, and now I understand that that's not the case. And he can be a half decent actor portraying himself, but he's just himself. We watched Jupiter Ascending. It's just Channing Tatum's every character he's ever played, very wooden, just with weird ears and apparently a werewolf or something. It's never really explained. He's just an alien werewolf with wings, or I don't know what he is or what he's not. I don't understand anything that happens to Jupiter Ascending or why anything's happening. It's just a bunch of there's stuff and then things happen and then it's over and you're like, okay, so that was stuff that happened. Let's discuss. Someday I'm going to make Yvonne watch it because she'll hate it. I just can't bring myself to spend 50 cents to buy it. So, that more's the pity. Number 10. And it's weird because Julia Roberts, her niece Emma Roberts, I will give a movie a chance if she's in it. Emma Roberts was almost in my top 20 actors that make me want to watch a movie, but I had to pull her out of there because she was in some bad American Horror Story, and that Scream Queen series was unwatchable for me. So Emma Roberts falls out, and it's too bad because Emma Roberts is beautiful, and she could be a very good actress, and she's engaging when she's tasked with doing something. She's a better actress than she gets given credit for. Julia Roberts is very unlikable. And I know all of America fell in love with her for Pretty Woman. Notice it wasn't in my top 200. It never would have been in my top 200. For me, watching Pretty Woman was a matter of who's more unlikable, Julia Roberts or Richard Gere. Huh. Let's see. That's a tough call. Richard Gere's not on this countdown because when was the last time we saw him as a main star in a movie? And he would have been 20 years ago, though. Holy crap. Yeah, if Richard Gere's in it, it's going to be awful. And Julia Roberts, there's a lot of bad movies in there. And it's too bad because she has done some very good work. She has. Steel Magnolias is an example of when she is really tasked. And Steel Magnolias is it's a very estrogen-filled movie. So if you're a guy and if you're all scared of your dudeness, stay away from Steel Magnolias because you might cry and you might think you lost your man card. But, Julia Roberts in that movie is fantastic. I won't take anything away from her in that movie. Bless you. She always sneezes once a video. It's because she wants people to know she's here. But Julia Roberts can be likable. She just usually doesn't pick roles where she's very likable. Number 9. Now you're showing off. Number 9 is Elizabeth Banks. And if you're not aware of who she is, she's that annoying blonde with that annoying voice in all those movies that annoy you. She started out as Beth in 40-Year-Old Virgin. She's the one that Michael Scott, whatever his name was in 40-Year-Old Virgin. He's Michael Scott. Steve Carell's awesome. I'm not trying to say anything bad about Steve Carell. Steve Carell was great in 40-Year-Old Virgin. She's the one that takes him home and she's doing whatever to herself in the bathtub. And then Seth Rogen walks in, hey, sup? And they're hooked up by the end of the movie. Spoiler alert. That's her. And that's the last time she was in a movie where I found her watchable. That was about 20 years ago now. She just comes across as unlikable, and I think the movie that I think of with that is Role Models. So Role Models, which of course is Paul Rudd and Seann William Scott trying to get their lives together after they do something stupid. And I never understood how it was so bad that it was ruining their whole lives, but whatever. They drive the truck into it's stupid. Anyways, Elizabeth Banks is really unlikable, and through the whole movie, when Paul Rudd's trying to win her love back, I'm thinking, why are you doing this? Why? It doesn't. It for me, it just doesn't. I don't understand why. Because I personally, I don't know that. Well, I can't say. I've pursued people who haven't treated me particularly well. Touche movie, touche. I didn't buy it because Paul Rudd could do better. Paul Rudd's a great guy, so, and she's the reason I haven't seen Ant-Man. So people have said, why haven't you watched Ant-Man? You like Paul Rudd, right? Elizabeth Banks is in it. I can't stand her. I can't stand her. Number 8. There's a lot of female actors on this list, and that's not going to change with this one. Cameron Diaz. She was beautiful in The Mask, and then something happened. She is mostly unwatchable. I think of the two Charlie's Angels movies, and they're really, 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 really. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, 28 reallys, awful movies. And Cameron Diaz makes them twice as bad. So that's 56 awfuls before you get to the word movies. And it's funny because there's a scene where Drew Barrymore says, "And that's kicking your ass," and she moonwalks out while a sample of what sounds like Billie Jean, but it isn't because they didn't want to have a copyright strike, is played. And that scene is better than anything with Cameron Diaz in it. And that scene makes me want to poke a hole in my skull with a hot acetylene torch. Yeah, Cameron Diaz is so just if she's in a movie, I'm not gonna like it. A Bad Teacher is the last movie with her as the star vehicle that I even gave a chance, and she is so unlikable in that movie. People can say, "Well, that's her character." No, she's supposed to be the protagonist, and she plays it so over the top that she's so unlikable. Number 7, and this one really surprises me. But much like the guy at number 20, I can't remember the last time I saw Al Pacino in a movie that I really liked. And I will say this, Al Pacino is one of the greatest actors of this generation. The last 40 years, Al Pacino is a god. Okay? But he has picked some abysmal movies. And the biggest, most egregious example is Jack and Jill. Jack and Jill's not a movie in any way. Jack and Jill is just a bunch of crappy scenes thrown together by Adam Sandler to make a bunch of money for his friends. And Al Pacino's in this movie for the Al Pacino Frappuccino commercial. That's the only reason he's in the movie. And when he's hitting on Adam Sandler dressed as a woman, it's cringeworthy. And everything that Al Pacino did in the 70s and early 80s, all of that fantastic acting. Scarface. Dog Day Afternoon. I want to say Dog Day Afternoon. The Godfather movies. Heat in the 90s. Carlito's Way, which is a fantastic movie. All of it goes right out the window because it's sort of like when people ask me, what about Christopher Walken? Walken's made horrible decisions too, and I don't look at a Christopher Walken name on a marquee and go, I need to see that, because there's been too many times where the movie's been just ugh. So Pacino is better than this, but this is where he's at. Number 6. I feel bad for putting this name down because she really gets picked on a lot in Hollywood, and I don't think it's fair. Sarah Jessica Parker has been named the homeliest person in Hollywood. I disagree vehemently. I don't particularly find her attractive. I'm not saying that, but to say somebody's the homeliest person in Hollywood, and then I felt bad because Matthew Broderick is out there publicly answering this and having to defend his wife. Come on. That said, if Sarah Jessica Parker's in a movie, I will hate it. Unless it's the original Footloose in 1984, in which she was delightful. I will hate it. I will hate it a lot. Speaking of Footloose, Kevin Bacon isn't on either list because Kevin Bacon is in roughly 56% of the movies made in Hollywood. It's a fact, look it up. And Sarah Jessica Parker's in a lot of, obviously, Sex and the City, which is just awful. And just most of her movies in general. It's just she always seems to me to be miscast as a sex symbol in a lot of movies, and I just don't buy her character most of the time, and I don't buy the premise. And if you don't buy the premise and the character, why are you watching the movie? So there's movies of hers I haven't finished. So that's that may be on me for not having the patience to get through the crap to get to the good stuff, but yeah, I'm not waiting for the good stuff. Number 5. John C. Reilly is a fantastic actor. We need to talk about Kevin. We need to talk about Kevin as a movie that upset me. We need to talk about Kevin as a movie that really frightened me. And it is one of the most heart-wrenching movies I've ever watched. And John C. Reilly plays the father in that movie, and he's brilliant. Brilliant. I watched that movie despite John C. Reilly. And I'm glad I did. Most of his movies are rubbish. And if it's a comedy and his name's on the marquee. So Step Brothers? No. I've tried twice. No. Talladega Nights? No. Giant no on that one. John C. Reilly, just for me, if I see his name, it means I won't like this movie. And again, we need to talk about Kevin. If you haven't seen it, it's worth watching once. I don't know that I could get through it a second time because it is heart-wrenching and it is portrayed in a very, very realistic tone. There's no sensationalism to it. And the violence is very fleeting and it's not brutal, but it's real. It feels very real. And John C. Reilly is brilliant in it. Number 4. I talk about brilliant actors and defending people as brilliant actors. Now we're going to get to a comedian. David Spade can be really funny. David Spade in Rules of Engagement. Rules of Engagement was one of my favorite shows on TV. I was so upset when it got canceled because I identify with the main character in the show, okay, whose wife is gorgeous. Let's get that straight. The male across the hall, whose wife is also gorgeous, and David Spade is really funny on the show. Rules of Engagement was a vastly underrated show, and David Spade played an unlikable character and sleazy, but he still had enough. You had enough fun watching him that you didn't hate him. David Spade has made some good movies, and of course, Tommy Boy is one of my all-time favorites. But man, he's unbearable in certain movies, and when all that Saturday Night Live crew gets together now, bad stuff comes out. Bad stuff. I'm talking grown-ups. Okay. If I see David Spade's name on the marquee, I'm passing. I'll watch 2 hours of a test pattern as long as I don't have to watch the movie that's going on in the other theater. Number 3. And this guy can be really funny. Will Ferrell can be really, really funny. And it's weird because The Other Guys is a movie I have, and Elf is a movie we have and we've watched, and those movies are great. And there are times where Will Ferrell is really funny. His turn on The Office, and I was very guarded about his turn on The Office as the manager, and it didn't last very long, and it was actually kind of funny how they wrote him out. Um, Will Ferrell is awful in a lot of movies, and he plays the over the top. Anytime he's the over the top, bumbling idiot, um, I can't watch him. And it's Talladega Nights. It's Get Hard is another one I tried watching recently. I try with these actors. I try. So I look at this list and I think, you know what, you're probably wrong. And then I try watching a new movie from one of these actors, and I'm like, no, 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 bad Shannon. That was just bad idea, bad planning. You didn't think this through. Stop. And Will Ferrell has that, where he's in a movie and it's just I can't handle it. It's just bad. Number 2. You guys should know where this is heading. And yet I'm going to do a swerve at number 1. Number 2 is Adam Sandler. I love Happy Gilmore. I'm okay with The Waterboy. Billy Madison has its moments. It's really stupid, but it has its moments. There's the whole room is dumber for having heard your answer. The nowhere in there was their coherent thought. That whole bit is brilliant, and there are some really good moments in Billy Madison. 50 First Dates is fun. The Wedding Singer is awesome. I love The Wedding Singer. Click was stupid in the last half, and then you've got Zohan, and then you've got The Ridiculous Six, and I can't trace how much further down this hand has to go to discuss if Wedding Singer is here. His recent fare, I got to dig about 20 feet down into the ground through this concrete here to find how much lower you have to go. At some point, Adam Sandler stopped being an actor and he started being, hey, I can make money for myself and my friends. Red Letter Media did basically an expose on this. It's a review of Jack and Jill, but it's damning condemnation of Adam Sandler and his career, is what it is. It points out that he gives his friends high salaries in his movies, which is why the costs for the movies are so high, and the script gets virtually no attention. He mails it in. The acting gets no attention either. The storylines get more and more ridiculous. The budget for Pixels was relatively large, but the movie bombed badly. And I think it was the bomb that was Pixels that caused him to be the Netflix guy that he is now. But saying that, I still feel like somewhere there's a network executive who's dumb enough to say, hey, we'll give him another movie, he'll take another shot at it. Because they figure there's another Happy Gilmore in there somewhere. And there just isn't. There just isn't. And it's too bad because, as I said, I've liked a lot of his movies. I can still sit and watch Happy Gilmore front to back and love every minute of it. It's just great. And then I try to watch something he's done now, and it's like, oh, this is just awful. Whether it's lazy, racist jokes that seem to permeate his movies more and more and more, or it's just a bunch of fart jokes and not funny humor. And it's like, well, if we tell this same stupid joke 10 times with Rob Schneider, it'll get funny later. And it just doesn't. So he's dragging his friends down with him. Yeah, it's bad. It's quite bad. And number 1 actor who will cause me not to want to watch a movie, and I can tell you right now, there isn't a single movie in my collection with Owen Wilson as the main star. None. I never saw Marley and Me. Why? Owen Wilson's in it. I hated Wedding Crashers. Why? Owen Wilson's in it. Which is also a movie that ruined Vince Vaughn for me. I'd been a big fan of Vince Vaughn, and then that movie came out, and I was like, well, so much for that. Wedding Crashers is mostly just... And Owen Wilson, I don't know what it is with him. There are certain actors, I'm sure you have this reaction, where when you see them, you're aggravated. You just, for no reason at all, you're just aggravated. And I feel that way with Owen Wilson. Soon as he's on my TV, I'm like, oh, it's Owen Wilson. Oh, what did I do? What turn did I make in my life that I have Owen Wilson on my television greeting me when I turn on the TV? What did I do wrong? Who did I make angry? Which gods must I appease with a sacrifice in order to make Owen Wilson go away? Yeah, that's he's number one, and it's not even close. Not even close. I have had people joke around with me about this and say, "You're not serious. Owen Wilson's not that bad," and I'm like, "Yeah." And then people argue with me like, "Well, Ben Stiller's worse," and Ben Stiller, depending on the role, could be top five here. But Ben Stiller's had some fantastic roles too, and he seems to be back and forth between the two. So I don't have a problem with Ben Stiller, and it doesn't make me decide whether or not to watch a movie because he's in it. But Owen Wilson, yeah. Starsky and Hutch, no, no, no chance, no. Zoolander, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Zoolander made me hate him more. The only part I like in Zoolander is the Billy Zane part and the walk off, and even then, I only like the part with only the scene with Billy Zane, and then the rest of the movie can just get thrown in the garbage. I can't stand it. Remember, Zoolander also has Will Ferrell in it, so I'm done. Just on the face of it, I'm like, really, Will Ferrell and Owen Wilson? I'm kind of done, and my list is kind of done. Let me know which actors drive you insane. I apologize that this went as long as it did, but I told you guys, when I get to complain about something, it's probably going to take a little longer than it does when I want to compliment it. And here we are. Thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And I'll talk to you again soon.